Today we look at the malware, which is very important part of the course. And just because you would have experienced malware sometime or other, and you are going to get more and more experiences, right? So these are topics we'll cover. These are the references. Now note this very important quote, right? That two people cannot keep a secret. Only one of them is dead. Two people can keep a secret only if one of them is dead. Okay, it has a lot of implication in cyber security, right? And note that one important thing is 30% plus incidents security attacks happen because of company insider leaking information, right? If there is a password that you share with somebody, it's very likely that person will share it with somebody else. Okay, if you want to keep anything absolutely secret, then you don't have to tell it even to your intimate partner. Okay, all right, so that's a message. Now the questions I'm going to ask you, because this comes from whatever you would have observed so far. I'm sure many of you would have faced that there is a malware in your machine or a virus in your machine. How do you know that there is a virus? Please answer. And don't say that your machine never experienced viruses. I'm sure most of you would have.
We can use antivirus to detect
No,
whether it's
no, that's fine. Antivirus is, but how do you know? Antivirus is a preventive thing that you keep running, right? Through antivirus, you can find it out. Okay, but apart from that, what are the symptoms?
like machine malfunctions or something.
Yeah, machine malfunction. Have you ever experienced this? Many would, right? I mean, it may happen that that machine slows down. Or earlier, about 20 years back, they used to have something, water drops, coming down the screen from top, and all those funny things used to happen, right? Because that time the purpose is not malicious as such. I mean, just to for fun thing, etc. Right? Okay. The fact is that most often we don't know. We don't know the machine has virus, but of course antivirus can find it out, and sometimes you can see your whole hard disk is encrypted. You can't decrypt it until you pay money for that, right? Only then you realize. And also the fact is that it takes months before even companies, big companies can find out that their machines are compromised. Okay, take months. So detection is not easy thing, right? You have a company of very large company with almost like 100,000 employees, and more than 100,000 machines and servers over cloud and within organization. And there is attrition of employees, at least 5-6% in US or even 20% in India. That you know hundreds of employees keep going every day. How do you manage all that? And how do you know in such a scenario that your whole system does not have any malware? It's very complex task. So you may not know that there is a virus. So how do you know that your body has a virus? You have got a virus. Most of you would have experienced the virus right now because change of season. How do you know there is a virus? Because there is symptom, right? I mean, you start having body ache, headache, fever is, it suggests you that your body is fighting. It raises the temperature, right? So all that. If you don't have symptom, then you will not come to. There are many viruses that's that come to you and they don't have any symptoms, so you may not come to know, or they will affect you after months, right? So it's very hard problem, right? Okay, so second is that it's malware, for example, a virus is a hardware of software. It's a very simple answer, right? Anyone?
It's a software.
It's absolutely software. You know, your hardware is just all that machine, right? I mean, your registers, your CPU, ALU, you have RAM, you have ROM. So when it's in cold state, then it cannot have anything, right? So essentially is a software. Third question, does it reside in your hard disk? Or permanent storage in some sense, right? Like you can have what flop, you know, your normal magnetic disk, or you can have flash drive or whatever. I mean, when your machine is not working, you switch off your machine, then what will happen to the virus? When we say it remains in system for years or months, of course servers are never switched off, right? And that could be one reason, you know, it is said that in organization servers should be switched off at least once in a year or something like that. But many servers are never switched off. So in that case, it can remain somewhere, right? It can be, do you think it will remain in RAM all the time? Okay, of course, in your machine, it has to be when machine is not working and virus has got to be there in the system, then it has to be in the hard disk. Okay, when you say is a program or software, right? Program, we studied that program becomes process, right? Process is when program starts running. A scheduler picks up a process and then it starts executing, right? And there are many processes in the in memory at any point in time, right? So maybe hundreds of processes. You look at your machine, you'll find, right? So somebody has to pick up. Now, when suppose you have Microsoft Word, you double click on it and then it starts running. So who is you are doing, right? You are causing it to run. You are running it by double clicking it, or there are programs which become processed automatically at boot time. You know, your boot time, what do? You do nothing, right? You just switch on your machine and then some programs come onto system automatically, like your OS and, you know, boot program and many others, right? Bookkeeping program or something. All right, so these come automatically. But who is, if you say your malware or virus is a program, are you going to double click on it that I want to run virus? So someone must execute it, right? And if it's a hard disk, when you're booting a machine, how does it then come into play? Think about it. Any answer?
Where it stores itself with the system file so that when the system file also run, it also gets executed
Yeah,
along
so
with
it
them.
excellent, very good. So it's there in system file. There are a lot of system files the OS etc. use. So how does it store itself in a system file? Can you store anything in any system file? You try. Now it's a virus, right? It's doing it automatically. But can you do it with your conscious effort? Anything in system file? What file is just a file. What do you know the when we say file, any file has two things, right? Actual data in some form and metadata. Metadata or header of the file tells you how to interpret this. You know, file could be PDF, file could be Microsoft Word, or it could be exe file or whatever. Every file will have some header and space here which will tell how to execute it. You are right, by the way, but metadata will also have some lot of information about this. Okay, all right. So what you said is right, that it has to somehow attach to the files or code that runs. So suppose it attaches itself to a file which is just plain data file, which does not run, then it cannot. So something has to run. Okay, if it attaches to that, it will, that code, malware code will also run, otherwise it will not run. Okay, you create just a file, ordinary file with data, just simple ASCII file, then nothing, it cannot reside there, but it will never be executed, right? But if you create a program, malware, attached to PDF, so PDF is not a static thing, right? When you run PDF, it executes. There are macros inside that executes and get lot of other files for different activities. PDF may have, for example, animation, it can have colors and so on and so forth, right? So it will get some other files. So it executes to get all this data or program, right? And then, so your code is also there, so it can run. So anything virus has got to be part of something that runs. Okay, you cannot execute virus or malware by choice, so it has to execute by attaching to something that executes. Does virus attaches itself to a vulnerable code? Or I will put it, does a virus attach itself to a code that doesn't execute? Of course it won't. But how does it attach? This code must allow it to attach, right? Every code has some is in certain format. Okay, by attaching, you cannot attach another piece of code to some code just by itself. And note that all these code are executable codes, right? Virus will not attach. Virus is written, for example, in C program, high level language. Okay, so suppose this is a C code. Do you think that it will attach it to code of, say, MS Word, and then all will be compiled together, and then your program will come into execution, your code, your malware? No. First thing is that MS Word, for example, is exe file, executable file, so it will never be available to you in source code. So it means that this executable code is available, which you have bought. So this has to attach to this one, but this must allow. Would it allow? That's the answer. You have to find it out. Okay. Okay. Now, by the way, do you have legal copy of antivirus software on your laptop and mobile? Mobile is actually more powerful computer than your laptop today. Now, why I say legal copy? In fact, I will extend it to that legal copy of all your software. If you don't have, please do it, because this cracked software often comes with viruses. Nobody gives you anything in life for free. Remember this word, right? This sentence. Why should anybody give you a cracked copy for free? There is no charity. Instead of using that, you can always use, open source software. It's available in plenty, right? Which is almost 90% similar to your original legal software, right? I mean, like Microsoft Word, there are hundreds of things that you can do. Okay, all right. So now there are a lot of issues, right? If you don't buy legal copy, first thing is that if it is a cracked copy or stolen copy, it comes with virus, that we have discussed already. Second thing is that you can't get updates because every software comes with some number or legal number, right? A version number. It's not version number, is some key, right? And then when you update your software, then server checks for that before sending you patches. So you will never get latest copy of the software. And why do you need latest copy, by the way? Why do you need latest copy of everything, even OS or even whatever software you have? Because there is a war between attackers and defenders. So the companies always find out what are the shortcomings in their software which can be attacked. Okay, and then they are bridging that. So this also answers the previous question that I've asked, that in order for a malcode to attach to a software, the software or legal software, original software must have some vulnerabilities. So that software, your malware software, will look for vulnerabilities in the code and will attach. So now it's very simple thing. See, your virus has to be intelligent enough, right, to find out where to find out vulnerability and where to attach to. How can it find it out? It will look at the version number first. Suppose you are using old version of the software. Okay, it knows, virus coders know that this version has so many vulnerabilities which have been published even by that company, and the whole world knows about one, and you have not updated your software. So now it's very easy task for virus to attach to the software that has holes, that has security holes. Okay, so this was second point, why do you need legal copy of the software. Third is, of course, if you buy always correct copy, that these companies will close. All the innovation is happening because the companies work to earn money, and then it pays employees and have profit for shareholders. If the whole system collapses, then not many companies will get into the system, right? It's happening to publishing industry because most of the textbooks, nobody buys textbook. Not many people buy textbook nowadays. So we'll write. I mean, if I have to write a book on security, for example, I will take at least 1000 man hours or even more. And then next day is published, is available in PDF form. So why should I buy? Why should I write, right? So that's exactly happening nowadays. I don't get benefit at all. All right. All right. With this basic thing, that virus is a software or malware is a software that comes into life only when it executes, and in order to execute it has to do certain things. It should be in a ready list or something so that it executes, right? And best thing is that it attaches to a vulnerable software, and when that vulnerable software executes, this also executes. Now every software you will possibly study in OS has some permissions. Okay, read, write, execute permissions, right? So if a virus attaches to a program, this is a program, healthy program, or not so healthy, I mean, is original program, we'll say. It will have holes, so virus attaches. Whatever the permissions of this, file permissions, that will also be permissions of this one, right? So virus has to attach to something that is root. Best is that if it has a root level permission or root user permission, then the best for virus, right? Okay, if it attaches to a file that does not have executable permission, execute, read, write, execute, these are minimum things, right? Read, write, execute. If it does not have this permission, then it's useless, right, to attach to that file or that program. Okay, all right. So malware is set of instruction that runs on, so basically it's a program that becomes process and runs on your computer, makes your system do something that attacker wants it to do. So attackers may want different things. So all viruses or malware, I will use word malware rather than virus because virus is a type of malware. So malware, see, attackers want something to achieve. So not all malware will have same program, right? So there are different programs with different intentions. So it's nothing but a malicious code. What it can do a lot of things, right? Go through this one, steal information, delete files, lock of files, which is very common attack nowadays. You're suppose you are running a hotel and hotel is a database and also has software. Nowadays in many hotels is all room locks, lights, etc., all controlled by software, right? And it happened in Europe that one malware has locked up the rooms of all guests. So it means the guests who are inside cannot go outside, and they ask for money in cryptocurrency. It happened just 5-6 years back, right? It can lock machine and ask for ransom, steal software serial numbers. This thing you can find very often, right? You go to internet and try to find out that can you buy a copy of a software, some software, say a Microsoft Word legal copy, for example. Though you will find, of course, information on Microsoft. There's a price you have to pay. You will also find some of the vendors that are selling you software for peanuts, right? Just 500 rupees you get complete. How does it happen? Now all software companies can do is to protect serial numbers, right? Or keys or something that we call. Now this is not encryption key, but just key number. So now these numbers, when you execute, your program communicates with server and then it checks. The server checks whether serial number is legal serial number or not. Okay, but if you steal the serial number, if the cyber criminal has stole the serial numbers from database of a company, then they can sell these serial numbers. Okay, that's how you get illegal copy or a stolen copy of the software. Okay, use your computer as a relay. What is a relay here? Something that broadcasts, right? So it may not be doing any malicious activity onto you. Of course it can do, but it can use, for example, your Wi-Fi router or any IoT device or even your mobile to attack some other machine. Okay, like denial of service attack. Unauthorized access to victim system. Of course, the intent is to find out what's happening. Somebody may wants to steal the formula that your company has or IPR your company has, intellectual property right, something very unique to company, right? Spying on victims. There are a lot of cases that webcams have been hacked, and and then if you have multiple webcams in organization or home, somebody can see what you are doing. Okay. Distributed denial of service attack. Of course, if millions of such devices are hacked and there is a victim's machine, you can all can do simply ping, and this machine will go. Most of the time will go in answering this, and after some time it will not work. Okay, it can send spam mails. Most of the time you get spam mails not from criminal's machine, but you get it to somewhere else, right? Okay, and so on and so forth. What is so magical about malware? Is nothing magical. Nothing magical, right? It may look that how does it happen? It may look magical to somebody who doesn't know about it. It's simply a software. It has same power and functionality as that of other software, right? Basically, it has same power and functionality available as that of a software to which it attaches to. Okay? Now, it can do only extraordinary things, complexity, only when their privileges are high, or it extends its privilege. is able to attach into, as we said, into root program or your root users program or super users. It gets super users privileges. Then it can do a lot of things. It can delete all the files. Otherwise, one process or one program cannot delete a file until the privilege are there, right? For example, you as a super user of computer has privilege to delete a file. Okay, but if you create another login and credentials for your friend, you can restrict the rights only to execute or read. Okay, all right. So there are a lot different kinds of malware. We have viruses, logic bombs, Trojan horses, trapdoor and backdoor, browser plugins. Trapdoor and backdoors are, for example, your mobile system may have some APIs, or backdoor, which is known only to government. And you would have seen a lot of news items about Apple is not allowing government to have backdoors. So now, if you think, I'm not talking about this our country, but most of the countries, whatever is happening in your mobile is all visible to some agencies, because the companies, like whatever company you have bought your mobile from, they would allow backdoors. So basically OS companies have to allow backdoors. Okay, or software writers, you're working in a company and you want to do malicious things. Before leaving company, you create a backdoor or some APIs or some interfaces. Now use that from external outside. You can use these backdoors to enter into the software. Okay, like backdoor in any organization is very risky things. Smokers usually go out from backdoor, and then you tailgate them, and then you're inside organization. Other types of malwares are worms, botnet, APTs, spyware, ransomware, and rootkit. Okay, APTs is where these are advanced program managed. When you say program managed, is that program is not the software program, but it's a program in general. If you decide that you have to hack a company, then you will create a team of 10 experts, possibly some PhDs, and then they will work on the whole task, right, to penetrate into the system, right? So this is called advanced persistent threat. So is months together it will take for hacking into a system. Okay, all right. So now let's start with virus. Okay, of course virus can do all these things. Please go through it. Very simple. We have all discussed this. It can do erratic screen behavior, encrypt the database, and then ask for ransom. See, note that the era is gone when people do it for fun. Today, everything is linked to all this malicious activity linked to money. Right? Okay. All right. Then this is where the greed is. Now, if you get a email telling you that you have an account, and then which is dormant, and then it has 50,000 rupees, your father has transferred into it, and then you can take it out. Note that first thing you should remember is that nobody gives you money for free, right? Secondly, it normally doesn't happen that there is account which you may not know. Thirdly, that you have to authenticate the person who's talking to you. All right, okay, all right. So it can do a lot of things. So why do you call it virus? The virus in our body, like that we get, is very similar to the virus here, or computer virus, right? What is a biological virus? Is nothing but a shell filled with genetic material. This is a shell filled with some genetic material that injects into a living cell. This is living cell. Okay, live cell. Okay, and then this cell, so this whole thing becomes infected, and then the cell then starts manufacturing copies of itself. It multiplies copies of this and then attaches it to others. What is this virus? You know this kind of virus, you would have, some of you would have experienced it, at least some relatives would have died because of this virus, some friends, relatives. Every family has, almost everyone, every family has got this virus. What is this virus? This is not HIV. What virus we have recently, 2 years back? Yeah, I'm asking you guys.
Coronavirus.
What is it? SARS, na?
Yes, sir.
The whole world was, millions of people died because of this COVID virus, right? How does it, what is similarity between this and computer virus? It behaves exactly, it injects its contents, which is malicious contents, into a vulnerable software running on a computer, thereby infecting the whole thing. Okay, all right. So important thing about virus, it injects a program, injects a program into a program, thereby modifying the original program. Self copy, that's very important. It has to self copy or replicate itself, okay, to spread. And then it has a very important ability, code writers of virus do this, that it should remain undetected for a long time, or for always, right? So many people get some diseases and only at very late stage you come to know, like even COVID virus takes, a week or even more than that before it, somebody can feel. Okay. So definition of virus is self-replicating, yes. Population growth, yes, it is a positive. It increases in number. Parasitic, yes. What is parasite? Parasite attaches it to something, right? Okay, and then it survives. So it cannot survive of its own. It will come in its life. It will replicate. It will become. It will get food from some other body. Okay. So code that requires user action to propagate. Some action to propagate. For example, a very simple way of virus to spread is that of course you get email attachment telling that if you click on this you'll get $100, something like that, and there are many fools in the world who will do that. Or they will send a software email from somebody who looks like your friend or your parents or your boss. Email is very similar to that, and attach this and then send attach virus and then send this email to you. Okay. Or very simple thing is that I will buy for less than 10 cents a this flash drive, a pen drive. Okay, pen drives are available for say 50 rupees, right? I will in its boot sector I will have a malware, and most of the people, when they get this free pen drive, will use it, and the moment use it and click something, then there they boot it through that by mistake, then virus is there in the machine. So the virus piggybacks on the real program, and once it's running, it spreads, inserting copies of itself into executable code or documents. Now we'll say documents because documents today, like Word, Microsoft Word or PDF, these are actually have embedded programs into it. It's not a static thing. It has macros. So in order for you a PDF to display image or something, it has to get something from somewhere. Okay, or it has to do some manipulation of image, something like that. All right. So where can it reside? It can reside in boot sector of disk. Secondly, executable file like batch files or shell script in Linux. Okay, or documents like PDF, Microsoft Word, etc., etc. So note that everything where it will attach has to execute. All right. Permissions we have already discussed. The permissions it has to attach to something that has permission to execute or higher permissions. Okay, the permissions of deleting files and so on and so forth, right? Okay, and virus usually doesn't attach itself to a file which is already infected. Why? Now virus writers are intelligent, right? Why should they attach into unhealthy copy of a software? Because the chances of being caught is higher. Okay, because it will have multiple signatures. Okay, so properties is that, again we are repeating, code that requires user action to propagate and stay resident. Antis is always stealth mode. It hides itself, right? It conceals its infection, it encrypts virus. So now virus can encrypt itself, which we'll study in. It can have polymorphism, which we'll study now. Okay, and every virus will have some signature. Some piece of code which virus detection software can find it out, right? Okay, something unique it must be doing, and virus detection software will look for that uniqueness, and that's we call a signature. So virus can be also smarter to hide that signature somehow. So it remains undetected for a very long time. Okay, of course, this kind of message used to come long back. Okay, propagation strategy we have already discussed. Okay. If virus get into your system, how virus gets into your system? It can get through flash drive. You get a flash drive through mail, or you go to a conference, possibly they distribute free flash drives, or some magazines you buy, PC magazine or whatever, and you get a flash drive. Never ever use a flash drive that's given for free to you. No free thing in world. Remember this thing. Nobody gives anything for free. Even you go to a store and buy a t-shirt, and they say one t-shirt is free, another if you buy one. Reason is that they are not able to sell that. There must be some defect or something. So when you are getting something free, make sure that everything is okay. Email attachment, downloading infected files. Now some of you, possibly none, would have gone to some filthy sites, right? Obscene site. Some where you get all filthy stuff. Okay, now that is a place where all virus writers will put their codes, right? And that site is created. How do they get money? How do they get money to run that site? You won't pay anything, right? So as soon as you go there and says that there's a beautiful picture, obscene picture, and somehow you get into trap and double click on it, make sure that your machine is getting a virus in return. Okay, all right. So never ever go to a malicious website. First thing is not good for your mental health, and secondly your machine will also get infected and you will spread the infection then. Visiting compromised website, drive-by download. So viruses can be hidden in HTML, and then we'll look at this concept a little later, maybe last class possibly. Okay, if you go to website, it will have a link, and that will take you to some other website, and then you will end up downloading something. Connecting your device to external devices. and so on and so forth. Phishing attacks, of course, using social engineering. You'll get a email from somebody and will trust, this is a bank statement, and then you click on that and then you get into it, right? Malicious Wi-Fi. You go to a superstore or a mall, and your mobile attaches itself to a free Wi-Fi, or you attach, but definitely, if you want, then you don't know what is the source of this Wi-Fi, and then this Wi-Fi access point or server will download to your mobile a malware, right? So never ever attach your machine to a Wi-Fi whose credentials are not known to you. Malicious apps, right? Now you go to a website and say that download our app. How do you know that app does not have malware? In fact, the company may not know that their app has a malware because some code writer would have possibly inserted into it. And even if you download an app from good source, say for example App Store, etc., these companies, Google or Microsoft or whatever, Google or say Apple, etc., have millions of softwares, millions of apps. How do they check every software? Right? There's a good probability, could be, I don't know exactly, but good probability that something you have downloaded from that also has a virus. So types of virus, of course, we have studied the boot sector virus and file virus like .exe and com. Boot sector virus is when it in fact boot lock of the floppy or hard disk at fresh. So what happens is then when you boot a machine, it has some software. It does not have a complete OS. It brings OS from hard disk, right? Okay. So that's there. Whenever you boot a machine, these few instructions are executed always. Okay. As a part of your OS course, you will learn about it. So now if there is infection right there, a virus right there, then that's the best thing. And it used to happen earlier when we had DOS and so on, right? So boot sector viruses replace boot block with a virus program, and their job is done, or boot block plus virus program. Okay. Where code can hide in the program. This is a normal program. This entry point. It can put itself at the entry point here, or it can put itself at the end. So as soon as you enter here, it will have a statement like go to, and this will run, and then control back to this one. So what happens is that the normal program is running and also virus is running. So you'll never come to know that virus has actually run. Okay. All right. Okay. Or it can be in between also. Okay. Virus can hide itself and can remain undetected for decades. And recently there was a news item where they found out a virus after 5 years. It's resident for 5 years. So there are a lot attackers look for evasion strategies. How to evade detection? Okay, how to make detection harder? How to make signature-based detection harder, and so on and so forth, right? Because now it's a asymmetric thing, right? Because attackers has advantage over defenders because attackers know everything. Attackers can see because virus can see what antivirus program is running in a machine. Okay, and then accordingly play with it, right? Okay, next 5 minutes we'll study about virus types. How do they hide themselves? Okay. Okay, how do you evade detection? There are various techniques, right? Encryption is one, polymorphic, and then metamorphic. So we'll look at when they don't want to hide. Okay, so this is a normal program code. It will attach itself here. That's it. Simple. This code, if you take up this program, a program of infected file, then you can see this. Okay, the virus code, right? Second is that it will have encrypted version of itself. Why do we need encryption here? Encryption can hide. We'll come to next point. So there is a virus program which is encrypted, virus C code, and there is, of course, it has got to have decryption layer. Okay. So in order for this, now encrypted program cannot run. So it means that now the control comes here. First the decryption layer, it will decrypt this software. Okay. So now we have decrypted virus code, which is normal in C code, as a executable version, and decryption layer. Now this is also visible, right? So detection here, if the virus, antivirus software or anybody who wants to detect it will look for this detection layer, which remains the same. Okay, so decryption layer is something that can be seen. Okay, note that when do you want to see the signature? When antivirus program scans whole hard disk, right? So this as a program remain in hard disk, right? So this is C code, the decryption code and encrypted virus code. Okay, and this comes into play when it is picked up and it starts execution. Okay, understand it? So now there are various techniques of hiding. First is called, now we have discussed the encryption, right? Now encryption requires two things, IV and key. Can we play with these two as a malware writer in order to our code to look different? If virus code is visible, then virus detection software can find it out, right? So we will have polymorphism. So now every copy of the virus program, this is a normal program to which it attaches. So now here it's attached, this another copy, this third copy and the fourth copy. What are we doing here? It looks different. Okay, how can it look different? Simple is that you change either IV or the key. And of course, when you change do this, this information has to be there in decryption layer, right? So you will have to play with key, or of course virus also includes key and decryption. So you can change either IV or different key. So I will look at the diagram here. This is the original main virus code. Original virus code. Of course, original code we are not showing it here. It could be somewhere, right? It could be something like this. Okay, this could be original code. So attaches it to original code. Okay, or not some code to which it attaches to, right? So this is a virus code. Now this virus code is encrypted. Why do we need to encrypt it? To evade detection. Now there is of course it has got to have decryptor code and the key. Okay, all right. So now decryptor code says that use the key and decrypt the encrypted virus. So now we have decryptor code, key 1 and key 2. So every time when it copies itself, it changes the key. Okay, and then key is also stored. Okay, all right. So what will happen? Now because of you have encrypted this using a key, so this code will look different from the other code. So this way, okay, and then virus, of course this code will look different. And of course we can have also encrypted propagation code, which will the propagation code will say use new copy to encrypt the virus and spread the encrypted copy with the encrypted code. Okay, all right. So we will start with this in the next class tomorrow, and then we will also look at metamorphic virus, and then we'll move on to the next topic. This is the worms. Okay, all right. Okay, any question? Okay.